Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Anuradha. Good afternoon, Rohit. Good afternoon, Deepak. Hello. As you all know, welcome to Raja Study Group. As you all know, we have started this initiative. And since today is Friday, I am Drushti. Will be covering a couple of topics from your subjects related to internal security and a topic that overlaps both your internal security and social issues, right? So let's see what the index for today holds. So we are going to discuss Nagaland issue. Nagaland is a beautiful state in northeast. There are a couple of issues that have been going on here. Nagaland, you must be knowing, there is this amazing goalkeeper James Kithan from there, just in case if you're into football. So why Nagaland is in news right now? Also earlier also we have discussed this. Nagaland was in news because of AFSPA, and now Nagaland is in news because there has been a delegation that includes the CM of Nagaland, Neiphiu Rio. They have been in talks with Delhi because they want a core solution to the Naga problem. We'll discuss what Naga problem is in detail, how it has evolved historically, and where we stand today as of now. Right, then we are going to discuss CAG and Adhaar. So, Comptroller Auditor General of India. I hope you know who the person is, who the office is, what the office holds, what the office does. I hope you have read this in polity. If not, please go through it. It's a very important office. And recently there was an audit. CAG audited UIDAI, the Adhaar issuing authority, and there have been tremendous amount of problems and implications that have risen. So the CAG has highlighted those and has given some of recommendations regarding to it. So we'll discuss those in detail. And we are going to discuss prison reforms. Ministry of Home Affairs, they have recently issued guidelines. Ministry of Home Affairs have recently issued guidelines related to prison reforms, and there has been a lot of talk going about the inhumane conditions in which prisoners live. So just to make their lives better and to keep the whole system in order, the Ministry of Home Affairs has issued a couple of guidelines. We'll discuss what the guidelines are, what the issues related to the prisons are in detail, right? So let's get started. So as I told you, the issue is in news because Nagaland's government, the Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio, is in Delhi along with the delegation, and they want this solution to the Naga political issue, chiefly because the elections are in order in 2023, right? So let's see, locate on the map of India where Nagaland is and see what borders it shares. It's important. Why? Because I'll tell you why. So here is your Nagaland. It shares your borders with Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Manipur, also with Myanmar, right? So please remember this. Nagaland shares your borders with these three states and international border with your Myanmar. Now why Northeast is important altogether? Northeast altogether is important because A, the international border with China and Myanmar, also Bangladesh. Then the whole of Northeast is connected to the mainland India by this Chicken Neck Highway, also known as Siliguri Corridor. Very important, very important. China wants to capture this particular area so that it can create pressure on the mainland India, right? Siliguri Corridor. I've discussed this earlier also, we are just rapidly revising it. The area is resource rich, has a huge tourism potential and export potential. Then it forms a major part of Indo-Burma diversity hotspot. It is important from your environment point of view also. So environment and geography both, right? Then it is a major part of India's Act East policy, right? So these are the reasons why Northeast is important. Since I've discussed Indo-Burma diversity hotspot, so here is a map for it. You can see this is your Northeast. Whole of Nagaland comes under it, then Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam and China, right? A part of Malaysia as well comes under your Indo-Burma diversity hotspot, right? Now let's see how it all started. From where did the issue start of Nagaland, right? So as we all know, Sare Fasad ki jad, the Britishers, they annexed Assam in 1826, right? They annexed Assam in 1826, and then in 1881, the Naga Hills, they became a part of British India, right? Then what happened when Britishers captured Nagaland for purely their own purposes? The first sign of resistance from the Naga side, the Naga tribes, was witnessed in 1918 when they very strongly opposed Simon Commission, and they told them to leave the Naga people alone and let them decide what they want, as they didn't as they used to do it. They did it in the old ancient ways, right? Then what happened, Azadi ke time pe in 1946, roundabout in 1946, Naga National Council, NNC. Please remember this, Naga National Council, it is very important, because in the lecture ahead I am going to just refer to NNC. NNC was formed under Angami Zafu Phizo, popularly known as Phizo, right? And they demanded an independent state as on August 14, 1947, right? So this was done, and then what happened was NNC resolved that they will form a sovereign Naga state, and a referendum was carried out in 1951. A referendum was carried out in 1951 where 99% of people, they voted in favor of an independent Naga state, right? Then on March 22, 1952, what happened? Phizo, he formed underground Naga Federal Government, NFG, right? And a separate army, Naga Federal Army, NFA, right? It still is there in existence. That is why I am telling you from where all of this evolved. Then lot of insurgencies were happening, lot of counter attacks were happening. So ultimately, just to get a hold of it and to maintain peace over the region, the government of India, they sent army to crush the insurgency. And in 1958, as slowly as the events evolved, please remember this 9-point agreement. He signed this 9-point agreement with moderates from the federal government of Nagaland, popularly known as T. Sakhrie and Aliba Imti, right? They were the moderate faction of the then Naga Federal Government, and it was immediately rejected by Phizo. Phizo was not in favor of this 9-point agreement, which sort of Phizo felt put Nagaland on the back foot, right? Then further what happened? Naga Hills as a district, earlier Naga Hills were the district of Assam. As a district of Assam, they were recognized as a separate state in India in 1963. You must have read them about them in the special provisions that have been made. So it was upgraded to a special state in 1963, also adding the Tuensang Tract. This is very important. Tuensang Tract still remains under lot of controversy because of the continuous insurgencies that have been happening over there, and it was part of NEFA. NEFA is your Northeast Frontier Province or Northeast Frontier Agency. Earlier the whole of Northeast was NEFA, right? If you read pre-independence India to even the Bangladesh war, it is still referred to as NEFA, right? In April 1948, a peace mission was signed, a peace mission was formed, and the then government and NNC signed an agreement, right? But what happened? The NNC, the National Federal Government and National Federal Army, they still continued to indulge in violence. Continuous violence was happening, a lot of disruption was there, people were scared, and it was not a apt place to travel and govern, right? And then happened 6 rounds of talks, table talks, and the peace mission ultimately, because it was not getting anywhere, it was abandoned in 1967, and a major counter insurgency operation was then launched by the government of India, right? Then after this, was what happened was, in 1975, the government got a section of NNC leaders to sign the Shillong Accord. This is very important. We have read 9-point agreement, then peace accord, and now this is Shillong Accord. Shillong Accord is considered to be a landmark milestone, right? Shillong Accord, under which the section of NNC and NFG, National Federal Government, they decided to give up their arms, right? But what happened? It was only a section of NNC that agreed to it, but at the same time, a group of around 140 members led by Tuensang-Muivah and Chwisi Su SS Khaplang were in China, and they rejected the accord, right? And National Socialist Council of Nagaland was formed in 1980. Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland was formed in 1980. In 1988, NSCN, they split into two sections of Isak-Muivah and Khaplang. Following a violent clash, they fought amongst themselves. In 1991, Phizo, he died, he passed away. After that, that movement stopped right there, and since then, Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isak-Muivah section has been known as, came to know as the mother of all insurgencies in Northeast India. This particular group has been most notorious and the most difficult to talk with, to reach an agreement with till date, right? So this is how the events evolved historically. We have signed a couple of peace accords till 2015. We'll discuss about those. But now the question is, what Nagas actually demand? पहले मैंने आपको map दिखाया था. Earlier I showed you the map, right? So what Nagas they demand is Greater Nagaland. Greater Nagaland is not that particular portion of Naga area that has been assigned to them as a state, but they demand the contiguous Naga areas from Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, and also Myanmar. So this is their map, what they have been demanding. These are the places that have been in news because of a lot of insurgency has been happening there, particularly Karbi Anglong, Dima Hasao, Tamenglong, Senapati, Ukhrul, Chandel, Changlang, Tinsukia, and the Bang Valley, right? So the places from Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, and Myanmar have been demanded by the Naga people. Not per se the Naga people, the Isak-Muivah section particularly, to be a part of the Greater Nagaland, and they still are continuing this movement, and this has become a great issue of internal security for India itself, right? Now, as I said, what do Nagas want? They want Greater Nagaland, the Isak-Muivah section, but what Naga people want, people of the state, they want an inclusive agreement with the center, including the Isak-Muivah section, and there is a conglomerate of a particular agency that has been formed, including the Naga National Political Groups, that is a conglomerate of at least 7 outfits. 7 popular outfits have come together, and which has been popularly known as Naga National Political Groups. Basically, the Naga people want peace to prevail between these 3: Center, Isak-Muivah, and National Naga Political Groups, because between all this havoc that has been created, that has been going on. The only people suffering are the local Naga people who still are deprived of basic education, healthcare, medical facilities, nutritional facilities, the basic problem of the hill people living in the remote areas, right? Since it is a very remote area and they don't have a strong political leadership, they don't have a say, there has been a communication gap, they have been suffering a lot, and this is what they have been demanding, right? Then the NSC and the Isak-Muivah group, they declared a ceasefire agreement in 1997 and they signed the framework with center in August 2015, right? With center they signed another agreement called agreed position with national Nagaland political groups 2 years ago, but still we have come nowhere. The insurgency continues. AFSPA is an issue. There has been voices about army brutalities. Again, there have been continuous protests and revolts, right? So this is where the CM has come in. Acha, recently the Oting massacre that happened, where security forces and the people, they have come in direct clash. So that has been a point of contention from where people have gotten a chance to actually put forward their voice about what has been bothering them since decades, right? So this is what Nagas want. Let's see how this issue is going to evolve in future, right? Now let's come to our next topic. Our next topic is CAG, Comptroller Auditor General of India. He has audited UIDAI and there has been a major issue of deficient data management, right? UIDAI, Unique Identification Authority of India, earlier it used to come under Planning Commission of India, but now it is under METI. Please remember, Ministry of Electronics and Communication and Information Technology, right? UIDAI is directly under METI, Ministry of METI, right? Adhaar is your 12-digit unique number assigned to every particular Indian as per their biometrics. Biometrics include your thumbprint, your iris scan, retina scan, etc., etc., right? So recently there was a report tabled in the parliament and CAG has flagged a enormous number of issues that are there with the UIDAI. Let's see what are the issues. So सबसे पहले let's get on how UIDAI operates. It's not a data collection by itself, but it operates Aadhaar through a layer of subcontractors. So when an applicant's biometrics are uploaded to Central Identities Data repository, it can be executed by third layer of subcontractors. So a lot of other outsider involvement is there and there is no particular format, or you can say a proper channel of how the data is included and used upon, right? So there is always a privacy issue as well, not just the data information collection issue, but a privacy issue. Similarly, if the system is used by a financial intermediary, there is no guarantee how the authentication is done, right? So this is one of the major issues. Now, what are the issues that CAG has flagged? Data matching. Number one, data matching. Data matching how? If your thumbprint does not match your Aadhaar card, or what Aadhaar card number has been assigned to you in UIDAI's database, if it does not match, your Aadhaar card becomes, the purpose of it becomes point. So there is a huge issue of data matching in n number of Aadhaar cards. By October 2021, UIDAI has issued more than 132 crore of Aadhaar cards, right? So the number is huge and there have been a lot of discrepancies. This is an eye opener. Then there have been errors in authentication, data match nahi karta hai, there are errors in authentication. Then there is an absence of system to analyze the factors leading to authentication errors. There is no proper system to it. Then there is a shortfall in archiving, and there is no data archiving policy, right? So these are the issues. There are other couple of issues also. Then UIDAI, it provided authentication service to banks, mobile operators and other agencies till March 2019, which is against their own policy, depriving the government of the revenue. So here it costed government a lot because they provided the other intermediaries that were involved the services free of cost, right? Then there is a privacy risk because India's data privacy issues, they are very vulnerable. Also the authority, they did not ensure security and safety of data in Adhaar vaults, right? And anyone can, if anyone has even a bit of knowledge about how to crack in, the vaults were easily accessible. So this was flagged as a major issue, right? Then your UIDAI, it has not prescribed any specific document or process to confirm whether a person who is applying for Aadhaar card is actually a citizen of India, which goes against your Aadhaar Act itself altogether. Then there are incomplete informations. UIDAI generated Aadhaars have incomplete informations. There are lack of proper biometrics in it, and hence there are n number of instances, there have been n number of instances where duplicate or multiple Aadhaars have been issued to same person, or any Aadhaar has not been issued to one person despite applying for it multiple times. So this has been a major dark area of it, right? Then there is inadequate arrangement with postal department. So even if the Aadhaar is issued and there has not been a proper postal system established to it, the Aadhaar does not reach the person, and hence there is a continuous cycle of unknowingness, what to do, how to do further, how to proceed further with the common man, right? Then Aadhaar numbers with biometrics, they have authenticity errors, which is not the fault of the Aadhaar card holder. But just in case, if you go to the authority to rectify these issues, they charge you for it, which is sort of unethical. So this is a major lack on the part of UIDAI. Now there has been flagged the issue of Bal Aadhar. So anyhow, when a child turns 5 or exceeds more than that age, he has to be issued a new Aadhaar. So the CAG has flagged what is the issue, what is the purpose of issuing this Bal Aadhar card, which involves a lot of effort and time and money, which becomes pointless in 5 years, right? So this has been the issue of Bal Aadhar has been pointed out by CAG. Now not just the lacks of it, but the CAG has recommended a couple of things as well, right? So there has to be a self-declaration procedure, proper self-declaration procedure. Then we have to tighten biometric services providers SLA parameters. SLA parameters refers to the service legal agreement parameters, right? Then we have to find alternative methods for capturing the uniqueness of biometric identity for minors, right? The Bal Aadhar issue has to be addressed. Then we have to take proactive steps for identifying and filling out your missing documents, right? This has to be taken care of. Now the fees for voluntary updates should be reviewed, because it is not the fault of the person who is already suffering through a document mix-up, right? we have to conduct a thorough document verification for it, and we need to create a suitable data archival policy about it. So these are the recommendations that have been given by the Comptroller Auditor General of India. Now let's come to our third and final news, that is about prison reforms. So this is a very sensitive issue and it has been going on since 1980s. Now Ministry of Home Affairs, they have issued a new guideline about the modernization of prisons, in which they will be assigning a certain amount of funds to the prisons. That includes your central jails, district jails, state jails, women jails, your juvenile system, all sorts of jails, for modernization and upgrading their security system. What is it? Let's get into it. So what Ministry of Home Affairs is going to do is, they'll be creating a video conferencing infrastructure to enable online trial particularly for high risk prisoners. If you have anyone who works in the jail, or by any means if you have volunteered to work in jail for reformative programs, if in any sort of you have any knowledge about jails, you must be knowing the high risk prisoners who are capable of high amount of violence are kept in secluded areas, and even there they are kept solitary. They have their separate sections. So for high risk prisoners who still cannot be predicted, their behavior cannot be predicted, they Ministry of Home Affairs wants that their trial should be carried out through an online process, right? Then body worn cameras, they want to get body worn cameras to keep a vigil on conduct of the jail staff as well as the activities of prisoners, because a lot of mishappenings have been reported continuously in past couple of years, right? Then they'll be finding modern gadgets for access control, right? Then there have been reports of a lot of illegal mobile phones that have been supplied inside the jails, right, which is again leading to a lot of custodial deaths and drug trafficking and a number of other issues. So just to check over that, mobile phone jamming solutions, so that they can restrict the smuggling of phones. Then they want to start correctional programs for prisoners, including their counseling, therapy and vocational training. Counseling, what they did, how they did wrong, their therapy, that includes both physical and mental therapy, and their vocational training, so that they become independent once they have served their sentence. Once they are out of jail, they have some sort of skill so that they can earn their livelihood as a good man. Now what is the role of Ministry of Home Affairs in all of this, right? So Ministry of Home Affairs is developing overall strategy for modernization of prisons, and they'll be monitoring and evaluating the project. The states, they'll be required to procure the equipment and update the database of prisoners. They are going to furnish periodic funds, their utilization reports, and maintain the procured equipment. So this is the role of state and Ministry of Home Affairs as a central agency. Okay, the prisons, they are a state subject, so center can only provide them with funds, but every state has to go through it, proceed it as per their own demands and priorities, right? The funds, they'll be released by Ministry of Home Affairs. The scheme, it will continue from 2001-22 to 2025-26, right? But the funds will be released each year on the recommendations of a steering committee. Also, the release of funds in subsequent years, it will be based on utilization certificates furnished by states, that how they'll have to tell the Ministry of Home Affairs how we have utilized the funds, what all we have done with it, how much we will be needing, and what are the projects that have been carried forward. As I told you, prisons are a state subject. They are governed by state government. Prisons Act of 1894 and prison manuals of the respective state governments, right? So please keep this in mind. This is very important. Prelims में भी direct question आता है कि what comes under central government and union list and state list. So your prisons, they are a state subject. Now what is the need for prison reforms? See, agreed that what a prisoner is done, even if it is a sin, that does not give us a right to deprive them of humanity or treat them like animals. Already the sentence of imprisonment that deprives a person from his right to liberty as provided by the Constitution of India, right? Then if the person is poor, then also if he is from a middle class or a well-off family, then also the legalities of it, paying for counsel, etc., this puts a huge amount of financial losses and puts them through a condition of poverty, right? Also that if any person from a particular family is in jail for a particular crime, it disrupts their family structure and it has health implications. Health implications include both your physical and your mental health. Most of the times the issue aspect of mental health goes unnoticed and unconsidered. And again, a person serving their sentence does not mean they have to face brutality as well, right? They are already facing time for what they did, but we should try that should be done in the most humane conditions possible. And India is one of the countries which has been very notoriously known to be the grooming. Jails are known to be the grooming places for future criminals, right? So if a person goes into a jail, he is not expected, usually not expected to soften, but to become a hardened criminal. Now let's see what are the issues with our prisons. Our prisons are overcrowded. Our prisons are overcrowded even according to NCRB data. Our prisons are overcrowded by around 4 lakh per prison. That is the tremendous amount of how much crowded our prisons are. Under trial, what is meant by under trial? Under trial means someone who is awaiting their sentence, someone whose case has not been processed. So as per NCRB, the under trial people, for them to know where they stand, it takes around 2 months to 5 years of time, right? This is the amount, this is the time of span they have to wait. Till then they have to stay inside the jail, and a lot of them also get acquitted. They are not found guilty of anything, but they wait for their trial, and hence they form a huge part of your jail crowd. There is a rampant corruption and extortion. Just to get basic amenities, facilities, protection, there is a huge amount of corruption and extortion involved. Then there is a lack of proper legal aid. You do not get proper counsel. That is a major issue, and hence people, since they don't know their rights, what their options are, they continue to suffer. Our prisons, they lack of reformative approach. We treat them like animals, and this is one of the major lacunae of Indian prison system. There is a lot of discrimination on the basis of who can pay you, who can give you added favors for basic facilities like healthcare, sanitization, medical care, etc. Condition of women prisoners is bad. The condition, if the women prisoners are pregnant, the issue of IMR, MMR is too high. Malnutrition, anemia, health conditions are dire, right? Then there are inadequate security measures and mismanagement, which leads to constant and continuous breakouts from prisons. There have been issues of custodial deaths, which are sort of given that they are murders inside the jails. So there are a lot of custodial deaths that have been happening. Also includes the police brutality cases. Then there are issues of excessive torture and sexual abuse which scars the prisoner, the inmate for life. There is a shortage of staff. Our prisons are understaffed. Then there are unsatisfactory living conditions, particularly the sanitation and hygiene conditions, right? So these are couple of issues, major issues that have been there with Indian prison system. These are the steps that have been taken by the government of India, right? So there was this modernizations of prison scheme. Then we launched e-prisons project. There was model prison manual that was released in the year 2016. Then there was National Legal Service Authority. They have been very prominent in working for inmates. Then there was a draft national policy on prison reforms and correctional administration, right? So these are the steps taken by government. If you have read about them, good enough. If not, please do read about them and you can quote them directly in your answers. Then these are the commissions that have been there related to the issue, that have worked as per the issue. So All India Prison Reform Committee, which is popularly known as Mullah Committee, it was formed in 1980, and this has been detrimental. We still are fighting. We still are arguing that its recommendations should be implemented as soon as possible. Please read about it. This is the most important committee. Then Krishna Kaiyar Committee was formed. It was basically for women prisoners in 1987. Then there was committee under the chairmanship of the Director General of Bureau of Police Research and Development, BPRD. This is a agency you should know about. It happened in 2005. And then there was recently there was this Justice Amitwa Roy panel. It was formed in 2018. Please do read about them. Okay. Now, what is the way forward? How we can make the living conditions of the prison of the inmates better, right? So we need to collect and analyze data, the whole jail data, including staff, conditions, health condition, mental condition, sanitary standards, everything, for a strong reform policy in the country. We have to have data and its proper analysis has to be carried out, right? Then we have to change our mindset of treating them inhumanely, treating them like animals. Then overcrowding in the prisons, people who have been waiting for their judgment to be processed out, people who are under trial, they should be allowed bail, right? Overcrowding, the issue of overcrowding has to be addressed, brutality has to be addressed, a lack of sanitation and unacceptable standards of healthcare should be taken into consideration, because proper healthy living standards are everyone's rights. Now the growing aggressive nature of public, हर चीज के लिए जेल में डाल दो, has to be checked. We have to talk about it. We have to bring awareness about it. There have been human rights concerns all over India. About prisons condition in India all over the world. So we have to address this, and we have to fast track our justice system so that people under trial, they do not have to wait till 5 years, so that they can either get their sentence or get acquitted. Whatever the case is, as per what the judiciary decides, we have to fast track our justice systems. This includes filling up the vacancies that have been lying in the judicial system, right? So this is all for today. These are the 3 important topics we have discussed. If you have any doubts, please mention them in comments. Tomorrow you'll be meeting with another faculty at the same time. We'll be discussing a couple of miscellaneous topics. Till then, keep watching, keep studying, stay tuned in, right? Prelims is just around the corner. Let's crack the exam. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.